do we want to readers to get from our story? That was question one. My first thought about it was, in order to answer this question, we need to know the main theme and the main and the message that the story is going to convey, right? So what is the main theme? Hola? Hello?
We
I
all
think
have
that-
we
ideas,
know.
I'm sure.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
we all have ideas, and I think it can sort of develop as we go, from each of our own individual ideas of how we want it. And, it'll work together and we'll bounce ideas off of each other, and it'll become a unified thing, as we work through it.
Right.
That's how I think it'll work.
Well, me too. And the reason I asked this question this way today was to get things being piled into the stack,
Yeah.
So have at it, y'all.
Well, I think it's not unusual for something like an overarching theme to develop in the writing, and often the writer doesn't know the theme and doesn't always even understand entirely how the characters are going to participate in it until they get towards the end, and then they look back retrospectively and go, oh, it's about intergenerational relationships and the sustainability of family history or whatever, but I think that's something that will reveal itself as we go through the writing process. I don't know that, because this is a collective, I don't know that that's something we can really know to navigate by this early in the process.
I get that. I guess what I was looking for is, again, the darts that go.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some darts, Deb.
I've got some
Okay.
darts too.
Yeah, I've got
Okay.
some darts too.
Yeah, we've got darts.
Provisional.
We have
theme.
darts.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just go ahead and start here then. At least with the first, maybe we could all do the first question and then
Yeah.
move on to the second. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I want readers to get from the Roanoke project? I think a huge thing would be inspiration for how a Zettelkasten could work. And, with the five of us all having our own view on how things can work and coming up with these ideas, they're going to see at least 5 different variations of how Zettelkastens can work. And so that just shows it in real world, the fantasy world, whatever. And so I think that that's a huge thing that excites me. I am also excited to explore the concept of pattern languages, which we have talked about a bit, and how, there's a conflict between trying to design something from the top down or manufacture it, and how it will develop when it grows or evolves naturally. And there can be some conflict there can be some mismatch, there can be a dynamic connection where both ends of it make the other one better. So that's really exciting to me, and I think that our audience would enjoy that. And the other big sort of conflict or potential conflict that I see is, since we have this idea of this language or communication mind to mind, then that immediately sets up a conflict between the unity and the individual. And we've got a whole planet to play with, so we got different cultures. They can all, different places in the planet can deal with it in different ways and develop different cultural attitudes and whatever about it. So I'm sure that we'll have our own characters as we come up with our own ideas of how our part of the world works. well, then our characters are going to interact, and then they're going to have to deal with each other and these different attitudes and ideas of how to even, handle this amazing ability. So those are just a few of the things that are very exciting to me, and I think will be very exciting to our audience as we explore them.
Lovely darts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I don't know how the round table, round robin. Who's next? Who wants to volunteer? Okay, I will do.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Kathleen,
No.
please.
If you're okay, I broke the question down into the first question. I broke it into two groups, actually. I think I have a difference in what I want our fans to get out of the Roanoke project as a project compared to what I hope our readers will get out of the finished product that the project produces. And what I hope our fans will get out of it will be a concrete example of the idea of creating a story. How does a story get created? And because we have to talk amongst ourselves in the process of creating it, because we're not doing it solo, those aspects get laid out on the table in front of everyone. So they can say, this is where a story comes from. So they are debating between themselves, and I have to debate between the voices in my own mind. But that's the process. That's where story evolves. So that's the part of the goal there. And then for the readers, what I'm hoping that the readers will catch on to is the amazing power that keeping a Zettelkasten can place into your hands. They will see us drawing cards, drawing inspiration, drawing things out of our Zettelkasten that help us create our story. They will see us taking ideas from Julianne's Zettelkasten and Mel's Zettelkasten and your Zettelkasten and Victoria's Zettelkasten and mine, and putting them all together, and whoosh, something far greater appears, and they'll understand that a Zettelkasten can bring all of those different kinds of ideas together. And then, of course, we have the whole magical element of it, which I imagine that Julianne will cover. So I didn't cover that aspect of it. That's as far as I went.
Those are lovely darts as well. Those are great. Those are great. Okay. All right. So for me, I kept going back to that idea of the Zettelkasten showing us as Zettelkasten builders our purpose. That idea of finding out who it is we were put here to be and to do and to contribute. And so if this beginning story, this first story could open up the curtains for readers to get an idea that, oh wow, this could happen to me. I could do this too. Then that would be a wonderful gift, if you will, And then there's the idea of just organizing your life, in terms of the Zettelkasten. The people box, for example, is a wonderful addition to the overall scheme, right? Where you keep your family, you keep your friends, you keep your authors, you keep all of these entities that you interact with right there at your fingertips. And so you can't forget, birthday. Oh no, I didn't forget your birthday. So it's really good. And then oh yeah. Yeah. That's yes. And you add to that this woman, Mel Robbins, talks about the 5-second rule. And
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
idea is that you can motivate yourself. You put your agenda there, and then the thing that gets you out of bed, you get that first thought, and then you go 5, 4, and you go and you do, and it's all right there, recorded in your Zettelkasten. So when you have a chance to look back and meld all your activities, it's wonderful. So if we can get readers to get the idea that they can participate in this, that they can have this for themselves, what greater quest could we hope for ourselves? That's where I'm at. Okay.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think using this project to show all of the possibilities, that's what's most exciting for me is, you can use it for nonfiction, for fiction, for facts of life, for music, literally so many different aspects that we can share just because of the differences between the 5 of us. I think that is just incredibly exciting.
And the fact that we're doing it in public and we don't know.
Yeah.
How do you do watercolor painting, Mel? And connect that? Is there a way for your Zettelkasten to inform your watercolor painting? I don't
Ooh,
know.
wow. I mean, that is a good question. I do use my Zettelkasten for keeping a record of some of my paintings in that, like, I make a little colorway of, like, usually I like to work with a limited palette sometimes. So, I just have maybe 3 of the main colors and then mix them and see how that looks. And that's what I use for the whole painting. So, actually I can pull one right out. I've got one that I had done, and you can see I've got some crossed out because I tried them and I went, oh, I don't like that one. um,
Yeah.
but so I've got some of those just right in my box. But also, I think I explore a lot of the same themes in my paintings as I do in my writing. The contrast between like flow and stability, and light and dark, and because painting, it's contrast is a big part of it, to make it dynamic and interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I'll have to think more about how that would fit in directly, but that's what came to mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll add my darts.
Hmm.
Well, first of all, I want this book to be fun to read. I want it to be fun and funny, even though there are going to be serious themes in it. Because this is the same territory that stories, can get very dystopian.
Oh, okay.
And it's playing with, the same sort of area as like The Matrix does, right? Which is kind of dystopian, right? Or Brazil, lots of things where interconnection can go wildly off track.
Yeah.
And I think that this can go wildly off track, but it can be funny. So that's one thing I really hope that we're able to do. And the more that little story ideas keep coming to me, and many of them are spoilers, and I've started to share them with you all, which we're not going to be talking about here. But it's just the theme that is emerging for me is it's about understanding and misunderstanding. And when you're really sure, and it turns out, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Lots of opportunities for twist and the intergenerational aspect of it is going to be super fun to play with too, because just how long ago did grandpa live anyway? And how
Right.
are they even, who knows? If he lived 1,000 years ago, who could we talk to from 1,000 years ago and possibly communicate with? But maybe this society has developed a way to kind of refresh its ability to stay connected. Don't know, but that seems like a fun, and also it's just so many opportunities to still misunderstand. So that, I think that's really fun. You've all said so many of the things that I think about, and yeah, the Zettelkasten is a well, it's the Zettelkastens that the ancestors have created to be discovered, and that the current day people are going to be creating, I think, and they're going to be taking their false steps, and they'll need to create their minimalist Zettelkasten and not get confused and all that. There'll be all sorts of opportunities to feature that technology, right? But I think it would be beautiful if we are able to help it gain life as more than just a fad. Right now it's a fad.
Mm.
But we believe it could be so much more than a fad. And hopefully the characters that we create can be ambassadors for that. It helps us scale out a little bit. One thing that I wanted, besides our own diversity amongst ourselves, right? It occurred to me yesterday as I was answering this question, it's like, I'm not going to forget Tom Cobb. Tom Cobb is very generously trying to meld his digital way of doing a Zettelkasten with the analog principles. And I wrote in my personal reflection on this particular card, we don't have to grind Scott Shepherd's axe on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know how to make it work, but surely there's a way to make it work. And I feel like it'll be fun to try to imagine somebody, at least one person, that the Tom Cobb readers are going to be able to relate to and say, yeah, but there's a benefit to having things be digital. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun. Yeah. I guess the other thing that I want to say, and again, it's about the Zettelkasten, is just showing the relationships between a Zettelkasten and a human.
Wow.
And there'll be different kinds of relationships based on, who those people are and what they're working on.